Yo, 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 what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Freezing frickin' cold.
On this Halloween evening,
Yeah.
It is very cold. Boy, did the temperature change.
Boy, it did. Snowing sideways today.
It did. Hey, everybody out there in the world. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And we're about to get normal.
Yay.
And we are smoking glazed cherry pie that was given to me by Goat Genetics, a local Illinois cultivator who won the Urban Legend Cup that we attended a couple weeks ago and had our smoke cessation. And I got to meet him, and very nice guy. And I believe I met his wife also. If it's not your wife, I apologize, but I think I met his wife also. And we traded some joints, and he won the cup. So I'm super stoked to try this winning strain, glazed cherry pie. It smelled fantastic in the joint he gave us. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of information on this, but what I found on glazed cherry pie is it's a hybrid, a 50-50 indica sativa. It's evenly balanced, created, has crazy delicious flavors, just like sweet sugary cherry topped with vanilla and cream. The aroma is a little harsher with a skunky, pungent overtone that's incredibly dank, which is completed by the sweet berries and fruit as the nugs are broken apart and burned. It has a very sweet high with a happy head high that's incredibly relaxing without weighing you down in the slightest. As this bliss, oh my gosh, does that smell good?
Yeah.
That is skunky as skunk can be. You'll be infused with a mild sense of energy that can get you off the couch if you need be, but isn't really enough to get you motivated to do anything physical. The effects and the average THC strain is about 21 to 23%, and it's often chosen by patients who suffer from conditions such as chronic fatigue, depression, chronic stress, or anxiety and nausea. The bud is the buds that he grew. I saw the picture of it. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. So what the effects are happy, relaxing, uplifting, relieves anxiety, chronic pain, depression, fatigue, nausea, and stress. It's fruit and sweet. The aromas are cherry, dank for sure, because I could smell it all over here. Fruity, pungent, sweet, and vanilla. Would you say that's some? I know your taste buds aren't always 100%.
I just keep smoking it. I'm not tasting
the first
anything
time
today.
It's the first time you've ever smoked this strain, so be a little gentle.
Okay, I'll share.
You could, yeah,
maybe,
share.
but I think it's time to pass it.
You puff, 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 puff before you pass this over.
Yeah.
So
my taste buds are useless today.
While I'm smoking, we had a very good Saturday. We got to go to an event. I'll let Mrs. Weedman talk about it while I smoke this beautiful, lovely joint.
Yeah, we went to an event put together by some different event organizers, cannabis-specific event organizers in Chicago, and it was called the Flash Social, and it was held in Uptown, which is the far north side of Chicago, close to the lake, right by the Wilson Red Line station. Beautiful old historic building. Inside, though, just unfinished. I heard it's being redeveloped into a
market,
grocery store,
right?
Local market. So we had the good fortune of being included in this event. It was a kind of just a fun kind of industrial space, and lots of vendors showed up. There were some tattoo artists. There were THC, traditional market growers, products of different sorts, some soap makers, syrup makers, like for cocktails, all sorts of fun stuff. And then there was us, right?
With our smoke station.
Yeah, there was a DJ with live music. There were some games to play. It was just a nice, fun vibe. And it was Halloween weekend, so a busy time in the city. Lots and lots of events going around. But we had a really great time. We paired up with High Focus Media again, and we had a rolling session tent. They were offering CBD drinks and hemp-derived THC drinks. And we had our smoke tables set up in the back with rolling stations. And it was just really nice. It was
Just
a
a
pleasant
chill
event,
vibe.
not a jam-packed event, but a nice crowd and a nice
Pleasant,
flow,
nice
and
crowd.
we were able to actually like chill out and actually sit with people and roll joints together and smoke together, and it was really nice.
Yeah, we had a professional roller come and use our tray, and he
Yeah.
rolled us a monster. I'd probably save that
Like
for
a
the
little
next
can
show.
of cigar.
He rolled
blunt.
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So
It's
it was a lot
pretty.
of fun just chilling, talking with people. It wasn't crowded. It was just nice and pleasant, just talking with fellow stoners, burners, and potheads and people in the industry, people trying to succeed in the industry, people just starting out in
Yeah.
businesses. We met some really nice
Lots
people.
of entrepreneurial spirited
Lots of-
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
We met a woodworker who
Mm-hmm.
was doing like awesome woodworking carvings and stuff with different logos, and he does poker tables. Him and his wife, phenomenal couple. Like their story. We met another couple for the second time. I met him though.
Yeah, he's an advocate
Advocate. Yep. Him
and goes
his-
around does a cannabis education. His wife is a teacher.
So
But
that
she
was
helps support
cool.
his business, and
We met. I mean, of course, we had High Focus Media there. I
Right.
mean, they're amazing too to sit and chill and talk with.
High Focus Media is also now they have taken up, well, at least made content, and I don't know if her husband goes by his name publicly or by his like hashtags or by his handle for Instagram, but he is helping her run the Illinois Cannabis Consumption
Coalition.
not coalition, not association. Anyway, something in ICCA, Illinois Cannabis Consumption.
I
Blah
don't
blah
know.
blah blah starts with A.
I'm stoned already, so
really stoned.
I
We
like-
could do this. We could do
I
this.
like this strain. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, whatever that is, we'll remind you
Yeah.
at another time. But they are trying to work for making a grand effort at passing some bills and laws and things so that we can have safe consumption spaces. Da da da.
Yeah.
Kind of important.
Yes.
So they were there promoting that. They were there promoting High Focus Media, and then they had these fun drinks. So it was just like a really
we
diverse
met an
crowd.
edible maker.
Yeah,
she was very
edibles,
nice.
yep. Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of caramels to try. I'm excited about. We met. Who else did we meet? That was an
The
entrepreneur.
guy hosting it, who is also
Yes.
doing
But I think I
cannabis
can say
events.
his name, right?
Yeah, I think
Blake.
Blake.
Yes. Phenomenal young entrepreneur.
And that is consume responsibly, socially.
Yeah.
I beat that
It's
up.
fine. We'll list it on
Yeah.
on the show notes, so everybody who was there, so you can look them up, because they were really cool people, down to earth, just a bunch of chill.
Eddie, the guy who was dressed up like Chef from The Bear.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's trying to get into like education and some consulting type
Yep.
aspects of cannabis.
Yeah, it was nice.
So it's just neat to see because it's such an open platform. It's a whole new world of business, and there's so many ancillary businesses to cannabis. It's
Yeah.
not just selling flower. There's so many ancillary businesses, and there's so much opportunity. I was just saying to Mr. Weedman when we came home that night, we were like, it just doesn't have to be competitive. It's so early in the game that there's room for all of us.
I said it to somebody there.
And,
There's
yeah,
money. There's
we don't
enough
need
money
to
in it for
compete.
everybody.
Yeah, and on top of that, I said, well, think about like something as simple as the bread aisle. There's still new bread makers. You know what I
said
mean?
ce-
Like
you said cereal.
and cereal. Like I said, both. They're in the same aisle. It's like those are two things that have been around forever, and you have your go-tos, but there's constantly new innovation and new
Right.
brands that come in, and that's okay. Like Captain Crunch isn't going anywhere, right? It's going to be there. So there's just
Yeah, but you know what? Every time I eat Captain Crunch, what happens? Where my roof of my mouth. I want to
Gets
know where that
hacked up.
goes.
kind of like when you have a tombstone pizza. You just know you're going to burn behind your teeth when you bite into it,
And
but you
have
just can't
blisters
wait
in
for it to
your-
cool off.
Yeah.
Gotta just bite it. And the tomato sauce,
Squirts out and squirts you
oh
in
my
the
God,
eye.
burns, just scalds it. And you're like, oh, fuck it. I'm in this. And you eat the pizza anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so high right now.
You're pretty high. I'm pretty
Yeah,
high
it's
too. That's
kind of
pretty
nice.
good weed.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty stoned.
I feel funny.
So very, very well done, goat genetics. Really good. I'm stoned. I've been waiting to get stoned all day. But
Yeah.
The thing is, we don't smoke when I get home, I usually rip a little bit when I get home from work, and I don't on Mondays and Tuesdays
We just have too much going on.
no, not just that, just because I want to. I want to do the show like I want to smoke, not being high. You know,
Like a fresh high.
Yes, I want. I want just people to understand you can function when you're baked.
Well, we do the show completely baked
every week.
And every week we're like, oh shit, I'm high. Duh. Like we don't even know our own limits, but we always push it because it's just like, well, why
Just
not?
to see if we can do it.
Yeah.
And we do an hour
Well,
every
because
week.
it's just nice to sit here. It's like the end of our day,
Yeah.
finally.
Yes.
You know, we record at like 8:30 p.m., 9 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
Like I've been working. I got out of bed at I think 8:20 today, and I haven't stopped. I mean, I made
It's now
dinner, but
ni-
that still works.
It's now 9:20.
Yeah.
So we haven't stopped. And you
So-
haven't stopped.
It's really nice to enjoy a smoke.
Oh yeah, but we wait. I mean, we on Mondays and Tuesdays I probably smoked them when I walked in the door.
Yeah.
You know, after I got done. After
Yeah,
I
I
got
usually will have, if
Yeah.
I'm done with all my emails and stuff, I'll
So
have a hit.
yes, but
around
on Mondays
5,
and
6.
Tuesdays we wait. It sucks.
I can't say I waited.
You can't, but I can.
But this,
So
what I'm feeling right now is
pretty good weed.
That joint's pretty nice.
I'm pretty stoned. We're gonna smoke more of it too.
Okay.
You ready to get
Not
the show
yet.
started though?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, I'll get the show started. So I've said I was going to butcher this word, and I even listened to it, had to say it like 15 times because this is actually really important. I've heard this being talked about by a few people now. So I actually read a couple articles and looked up some stuff about it, and I found just what I found. And so just to everybody to know, you know, I mean, you might have heard it, you might have not have heard this. You're buying cannabis from, you know, shops. So just realize this. So cannabis irradiation possesses quandary for growers, scares consumers. Irradiation. 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 And I it's not an easy word to say. And I listened to it like 5 times and the person had an accent, so I couldn't still understand it. Irradiation.
Irradiation.
Yes. So, cannabis cultivators are caught in a dilemma about providing clean, safe product that passes inspection for acceptable levels of microbial contaminants. The standard solution is gamma ray zapping cannabis flower with highly charged radioactive element cobalt 60. Is this good? Is it bad? Should cultivators even admit to doing it? Some of the confusion comes from state regulators who are still figuring out what microbes to guard against. From a list of the plant's typical microbial contaminants, if they don't pass testing, generally because of bad microbial growth due to poor sanitation in the grow and processing stages, growers will have to nuke it. But who wants nuked cannabis, nuked weed, nuked flower? The fact is that state-regulated cannabis often has been blasted by gamma radiation for hours, or by electron beam radiation, or the preferred method by U.S. cultivators, X-ray radiation to kill bad microbes. One microbe in particular, I butcher the fuck out of this word. Asparagus. It's not asparagus for sure. Just so y'all know, it's not asparagus. Aspergillus, which is present everywhere, can cause serious respiratory illnesses and even death, not only among consumers but also cultivation workers. Gamma irradiation is an old school tool. It's the same sort of radiation used for many food products sold in the United States. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration lists 9 food varieties that can be radiated, including beef and pork, as well as fresh fruit and vegetables, including lettuce and spinach. At least 59 other countries irradiate their foods because it's considered an effective form of food preservation that extends shelf life by reducing spoilage, albeit with a slight reduction in vitamins. I watch so many videos about how to keep your produce fresh, and like you can keep your produce fresh for like 2-3 weeks. Like
How?
by keeping it in water. Some stuff you keep it in water.
Some things, yeah.
Like potatoes, I watched if you keep in like a cold storage, not gassed. They're washed, wiped down, and then it kept in like a cellar. they can last up to months without growing any of the little roots out of them. You know, there's so many things you can do to keep it fresh for like the time it's supposed to be. You know, it was weird that you don't have to use this to keep stuff lasting longer, but because we keep stuff on docks when they get shipped over for months and they're kept in boats coming over from other countries, and it takes by the time they get picked, boxed, freighted on a ship to this country or to another country, this could be like 2 months. You know, so you got to think when you're shipping stuff too, what happens. So U.S. cannabis growers who use radiation have made efforts to dodge the stigma by calling irradiated cannabis electronically pasteurized or cold pasteurized. But irradiation has become a part of standard operating procedures, SOPs. I love S2. I ever tell you how much I love standard operating procedures, Mrs. Weedman? I cringe when I hear the word SOP or KPIs. If you don't know what key performance index is, it's a corporate word. It sucks. So does SOPs. I'd like to wipe my ass with all of them because it penetrates the plant well without causing undue damage, unlike other plant decontamination methods using heat, chemical reagents, and even toxic substances such as ethanol oxide gas. When the cannabis fails testing, cultivators zap it, sell it to the public, and hope for the best. There's some evidence that zapping can end up leaving bits of disconnected DNA intact, which can help the microbe revive itself, according to Jeannie Garlos, chief scientific officer of Modern Cannon Laboratories in Lakeland, Florida, who called for more investigation into that possibility. The problem with eliminating bad microbes, getting rid of microbial contaminants in cannabis, has always been a dodgy exercise for a federally illegal product. All of the infrastructure, the good manufacturing practice, the good agricultural practices, and the product safety that is required in manufacturing these other consumer food goods is not required for cannabis manufacturing. Tess Edelman, a microbiologist with Denver cannabis consultancy Rogue Micro, told MJ Biz Daily. Your dog food is regulated by the FDA, unlike cannabis, she noted. With cannabis, you really don't have to put in any preventive controls. You don't have to have any sanitation programs. You don't have to have a quality team. All of the food safety that manufacturers in the food industry are expected to do and address to identify the risk in their food safely plans are not required in cannabis, Edelman said. All cannabis manufacturers really have to do is pass compliance test. Passing testing can mean up to 24 hours of product sitting in an irradiation machine, Edelman said. In the short term, a cultivator can recover failed products by remediation, but in the long term, it's a crutch, and it's not really solving the underlying issues. Suhiko Ono, founder and CEO of EOS Farms, a family-owned organic cannabis farm in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, irradiates cannabis as a way to be compliant with the strict and broad analysis requirements for cannabis sold in Massachusetts. The microbe testing threshold comes from extreme fear and caution on the side of regulators, one told MJ Biz Daily. The batch approach and attitude from regulators is do something even if it does nothing, because you can't do nothing. Even if what you're doing doesn't really do anything but confuse the matter, but you have to protect the consumer. Microbe testing thresholds at the state are both over-determinative or under-determinative, he said. They are over-determinative in the way they test for any of the millions of species of total viable Arabic bacteria and total yeast mold that don't differentiate, Ono said. They test for the presence, and they don't test for aspergillus, which is the only one that's been shown to cause harm. They don't even tell you if it's there or not. So if we're going to force these non-essential microbes testing thresholds, then you have to go to remediate. There's no way around it. Different approach abroad. It's a different scenario outside the United States. Canadian cannabis producers routinely eradicate the estimated 80-90% of their product. All medical cannabis imported to Germany must be eradicated in a laboratory that is compliant with the country's strict requirements. In the Netherlands, where medical marijuana is available to patients through a prescription by a qualified doctor, the Dutch government controls the irradiation process. The irradiation is the preferred method of decontamination in the Netherlands, according to the 2016 study by Arno Heeskamp and former head of research and education for Dutch cannabis producer Broadcom International. Medical cannabis can't be sold within the Netherlands until the country's Ministry of Health certifies the product. Concerns amongst adult use consumers. Most of the fears about irradiation in the cannabis industry come from recreational consumers who are not well informed. According to Chadjiling Eckerlins, the founder and board chair of Bedrocan, the producer of medical cannabis follows European guidelines for good manufacturing practices. Irradiation does not destroy the cannabinoids in the plant, Eckerlins told MJ Biz Daily, dispelling one common myth about irradiation. It very slightly affects terpenes, Eckerlins said. There's no degradation of THC or CBD. If the product is properly packaged, there's no loss of water. Basically, nothing changes. Eckerlins said he has heard of the unfound fears that gamma radiation is not good for patients using medical cannabis. What's that about? What's the scientific basis for that? Please prove to me that this is bad for patients, he said. There's no remainder of the irradiation process itself in cannabis. The only thing it does is cuts actually the string of life in living creatures, of living spores and living bacteria. It's why I don't like the machines that process cannabis flowers, because there are no eyes on the end products, so the risk of getting mold in the product is there. You should wash your walls, your floors, Eckerlin said. It should be embedded in protocols and done on a very regular basis. And when you go to there, the plants are flowering, be sure that everything you bring in there is clean. Even be sure to bring in clean air. The same room recommendation is echoed by Kyler Baker, co-founder of chief strategist of EcoBuds, a biosecurity company based in Carbondale, Illinois. If I tell a client that they need to be clean every day, sometimes twice a day, that was the answer to their problem of failing tests that took me cross-eyed, he told MJ Biz Daily. But if they do it, they don't do it they don't have to use radiation. They don't have to use remediation methods because the consistency of not having disease issues that affect yield are significantly decreased. So the next steps, the real problem is the young industry is still getting a handle on regulations. It's a little weird that they're not getting consumers to know about the product has been irradiated, this article said. I know the regulations aren't requiring producers to label, but they are irradiated their product. And so that's not happening on that side of it. I think regulations are being created before we have all the information. That's not necessarily anyone's fault, Grallo said. It's just that this is such a new industry in a way. We're still in the infancy compared to the food industry and pharmaceutical industry. Hopefully, regulators are listening to the people doing the research and seeing the data and making changes in those regulations based on the information. That was a phenomenal article by MJ Biz Daily by David Hose. So this was updated back in July, a little more throughout the month. But I heard people talk about this, and I just wanted to learn more. So I thought this was phenomenal. Probably one of the best things I've ever learned, and I just been hearing this word more and more. So pretty interesting, though. Yeah. Can you overdose on MJ?
I believe, have covered this many times, but I think it's just important to keep covering it because we just need to really understand that this is the truth. With recreational marijuana now legal in 23 states in the United States, more people are choosing to light up or engage in edibles. People who live in a state that has legalized marijuana are 20% more likely to use it compared to states that outlaw it, according to a 2022 article in Addiction. With that said, even though cannabis is legal, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not subject to overuse. While some people might experience blackouts while drinking alcohol, people with too much THC in their system could experience greening out, which might feel like a high accompanied by anxiety or panic, according to Psychology Today. A toxic reaction to THC could have symptoms of confusion, dizziness, paranoia, or disorientation, although overdose has recently been associated with opioid addiction resulting in death. An overdose resulting in death from having too much THC in your system is really unheard of. While an individual cannot overdose on marijuana alone, reduction in inhibition or increases in impulsivity can lead to risk-taking behaviors with the potential of severe consequences, such as driving while intoxicated. said Dr. David Campbell. He's the clinical director of the Canyon at Santa Monica. However, marijuana has led some people to wind up in emergency rooms. Cannabis can present physical problems in people as more states legalize it. A 2016 study in clinical toxicology looked at calls to poison control centers from 2013 to 2015. The patients complained about symptoms such as drowsiness, high heart rate, irritability, and confusion from edible forms of marijuana. About 91% of the calls came from states with legalized recreational marijuana, and about 25% of the calls concerned patients under the age of 5. That was pretty high. A 2022 case study in Cirrus, the Journal of Medical Science, it was centered on a healthy 2-year-old boy who had developed heart-related problems after accidentally consuming gummy candies that contained THC. Visits to the emergency room for cannabis use have increased by 12% every year from 2006 to 2011, according to a 2022 study in drug and alcohol dependence. The most significant increases were in patients under 14 and over 25. According to Popular Science, cannabis can be life-threatening for children because their bodies process the drug differently than adults. Although no pets have died from a cannabis overdose, they can accidentally ingest a cannabis product, and dogs are more vulnerable to have effects of marijuana because they have more receptors for cannabis in their brains. Older adults, particularly those with comorbidities, are also older adults, particularly those with comorbidities, are also seeing more cannabis-related trips to the emergency room, according to a 2023 article in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. Emergency rooms in California saw an 18-fold increase in people over 65 using marijuana. The first cannabis-related death was reported in 2019 when a coroner said she found no other drugs or alcohol in a 39-year-old woman's system. The woman also had no evidence of other disease. The coroner believed the woman had vaped THC oil because she had 8.4 nanograms of THC per milliliter of blood in her system. For reference, 2 nanograms can impair your driving. Keyword can. So this was not like a toxic level. However, an addiction researcher at the University of Toronto told The Advocate that a fatal dose of THC in someone's system would be 100 to 1,000 times higher than what was found in her system. That would be the equivalent of smoking about 20,000 joints. So that's it. That's a questionable finding, right? According to the DEA, hashish and hashish oil are stronger versions of marijuana because they have the most THC. A drop of hashish oil in a cigarette is equal to a full joint, and the THC levels in illegal cannabis have become more potent, according to a 2016 article in Biological Psychiatry. The study tested the THC potency of cannabis confiscated by the DEA between 1995 and 2014. This is interesting, finding that the amount of THC increased from 4% in 1995 to 12% in 2014. The ratio of THC to cannabidiol, CBD, increased from 14 in 95 to 80 in 2014. Campbell went on to say that as cannabis has become more available and at higher concentrations, he's seen a significant increase in cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. With significant intake amount and frequency, CHS can develop, which can cause severe bouts of abdominal pain, cyclic vomiting, and nausea, and only resolves with discontinuation of use. Although CHS is rare, it's associated with long-term frequent use of marijuana. When it comes to effects, signs, and symptoms expression that can occur from consuming too much THC, many factors come into play, like previous use or tolerance, biological factors, amount and concentration, frequency, and route of administration, he added. Signs of overuse can range from anxiety to extreme confusion and paranoia. Other signs may also include heart racing and palpitation, nausea, and altered states of consciousness. Even though marijuana is legal in many states, there's little regulation over the accuracy of THC in products. The lack of standardized testing protocols in legalized marijuana states makes it difficult to know how much THC you're actually getting. First-time users or infrequent users are more likely going to experience a greening out if they use cannabis edibles, according to Psychology Today, because it's difficult to know how much THC you're getting in an edible unless it's commercially packaged, and it takes longer for the THC to kick in. So, if you're experiencing too much cannabis in your system, you can allow it to pass through your system without needing a trip to the emergency room. Stay in a safe, comfortable place, reduce excessive sensory stimulation, such as loud music or television, take slow, deep breaths, and practice meditation if possible. Should a person be experiencing severe anxiety, confusion, paranoia, hallucinations, or delusions, and become a danger to themselves or others, then seeking medical assistance may be necessary, Campbell said.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes more is not always better.
Yeah.
When it comes to THC percentage. You know, for people that like to smoke every day, you know, lower is sometimes better.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to, you know, you don't need the 30, 40%. Most of that shit's bullshit anyway. So, I mean, fairly wrongly tested to get it that high. So, so I'm just telling you, medically, if that's what you need, I get it. But I mean, just if you're using it every day just for either recreational or just to like help you with any kind of ailments or just sometimes like the 30s and 40s you don't need. I like a good 14 and 19, you know?
Yeah.
It's just nice. It's pleasant. It's not, you know, it doesn't crush you.
Well, and the key takeaway is that even if you do consume too much, say you think that you can go a little heavier and go a higher dose and you feel like you're greening out or yuck. Although there's this literally one possibility of a death related to cannabis. One.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
that's important to know.
I smoke when we go out and we do these events and we go meet people and we're out hanging out. I mean, there's a lot of joints being passed around, and I'm probably included in a lot of smoking,
Sure,
right?
me too.
But I know when to say no. I know when to pass. I'll stop puff passing, and I'll just puff pass and then lightly puff.
Yeah, and then I just pass.
And then I just pass for a little bit. Like I needed.
Gotta take a break.
I mean, there was a point where the other night I probably was partaked in like 5 or 6 joints in the first hour we were there.
Yeah.
You know, and I came from another event and I was smoking there too. So, I mean, you just got to kind of know your limit. To green out is, you know, it's just you just got to know your limit. You know, and know when to just
but
say,
if
take
you're
a break.
New, but if you're new and you don't know your limit, you're not gonna. I feel pretty confident saying that you're not gonna die.
No, you're not
Right.
going to die.
That's the point of the article.
I know somebody ate too many cookies one time and they thought they were going to die.
You might think you're dying.
They called their mom crying, and it wasn't
Yeah.
me. It wasn't
It
me.
wasn't you? Are you lying?
No, I know the person who did this. Called his mom crying, said he ate too many cookies, and he called his mom crying and said, "Mom, I'm going to die."
Was he an adult?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
He
So
was scared. Oh.
he ate 2 when he should only eat a half.
Oh.
That's how strong those cookies were.
What's his name? Mr. Weedman?
No.
No?
Not me.
Not you?
No, not me.
You-
I didn't cry and call my mom. knowing Ma Weed or Grandma Weed
Like,
or
what
Ma
the fuck are you
420.
doing?
Yeah, she'd be like, good luck. You're
Go to
into
bed.
Yeah. she was you know, she said to me my whole entire life, you want to play, you're going to pay.
Yeah, she'd be like, get over
That's
yourself.
what my 420 used to say all the time. Every time I'd fuck up, you gonna play, you're gonna pay. And that was the advice, that was the only advice she
was
ever
it.
gave me. That was it.
No, that wasn't. Get out.
I'm telling you. If I didn't listen, I got an elbow.
That was the important
I got the elbow
advice.
in the back. That's all you need to know. You either know or you get elbowed in the back. Demand for seasonal cannabis harvest workers surge after industry layoffs. Of course, because it's harvest season, and you laid everybody off because it was slow for so long, and you weren't doing well, and now you want people to come back. Well, if you want people to come back, you just need to pay them a really good wage, and let them know. Say, this is part time. You got 3 months of hard work, but I'm going to pay you a really good percentage. So there've been a lot of layoffs over the last 18 months. And based on a national recruitment and human resources company, Bavarian Staffing told they're running on slimmer crews and need the additional assistance because of harvest season. Total marijuana jobs declined by 2% since the beginning of 2022, according to April report by Denver headquartered cannabis recruitment platform Vankst. The decline was first for the cannabis industry since the states began legalizing marijuana, underscoring the need for MJ cultivation companies to seek out temp workers to cope with the fall harvest. We're seeing as a regression. They weren't able to actually build out real cultivation team with full-time salaries or benefits. The jump in demand for seasonal employees comes as cultivators face increased competition for temp workers from mainstream industries that are grappling with the same macroeconomic factors as cannabis. Moreover, marijuana harvest work is difficult, much more grueling than temporary retail jobs, Carlson noted. That means there's more turnover in cannabis, they added. With background and criminal record checks necessary in some states, growers also face more barriers to bring on temporary marijuana workers. Doing more with less. I've seen this. It's happening. I'm telling you right now. It's happening in this industry. I see a lot of tired people. I do. I see a lot of people in all aspects of this industry. I can speak for it. I've seen, shook hands, gave hugs, smoked joints. There's a lot of tired people out there that have been grinding for like 3 years, 4 years, even maybe the last 6 months. You get in and you're grinding because there's like, this says doing more with less. It's a grind. It's the NFL. See me on the outside of the show and I'll tell you what the NFL stands for. Growers often expect temp workers to be less expensive than full-time employees. No. If you want good workers to come, you pay them good money. The national average for pay for cannabis trimmer is $16 per hour. You need to pay them a little more because they're temporary. If you want people to come and work, you know. But marijuana operators often forget the recruitment companies such as varying covers costs such as workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, and workplace safety training. They don't understand that we have many other costs in addition to the cost of finding those workers, hiring them, onboarding them, and payrolling. And then once you let them go, they're seasonal. Handling any of the state unemployment requirements falls on the company, whatever their name was. Smaller companies feel the crunch. Operators are also increasingly asking if they can defer payroll. That is, don't pay Bavarian for the cost of hiring temporary workers until after the harvest. But Bradford said the company's core competency is staffing, not serving as a bank or loan institution. Oof. Larger companies such as multi-state operators are at an advantage because they have more cash to burn, as hires Carlson said. They're able to pay recruitment company fee and higher hourly wage of about $20 per hour to attract seasonal workers. It's harder for the smaller shops because, quite frankly, they can't pay somebody $30 to $40 per hour, he said, because that's what it costs. Shifting requirements. Temporary harvest workers with experience, which often means they have worked in the legacy market. On the trimming side, if you already know what you're getting into, you're more likely to stay, right? Trimmers can spend 5 to 7 hours per day by themselves, he said, a job that is not suitable for everyone. Also, customers in more mature markets are looking for experienced temp workers with experience who have already been trained to perform duties such as trimming. They're also looking for those with regulated market experience. For folks that are trained, she said, they demand a little bit more money, but for a lot of the businesses, it's worth it. Start looking early. Huntsman said that it was pleased to hear more companies looking for autumn harvest workers as early as April. That's super promising because it shows businesses are hiring really sophisticated HR talent that could be better forecast, she said. We encourage folks to reach out as early as possible. That way you can get experienced individuals to come to your farm. So just a little advice if you just want to get in the cannabis industry temporary, you might be out of work and you can find some temporary work. Just, I would learn quick and get paid for temporary work, So we never really talk about topicals much.
No, we don't.
We use them.
Yeah.
What's the cannabis topicals?
Well, cannabis topicals are the secret weapon for muscle and joint pain. Are sore muscles and joint pain holding you back from living your best life? Look no further. Introducing Cannabis Topicals, the secret weapon you've been waiting for. With their powerful pain relieving properties, these products are quickly becoming the go to solution for people seeking relief from muscle aches and joint discomfort. Understanding how cannabis topicals work. Cannabis topicals provide an innovative approach to tap into the pain relieving potential of cannabis. Unlike methods involving smoking or ingestion, topicals are applied to the skin, offering precise relief without inducing any psychoactive effects. These formulations feature cannabinoids like THC and CBD, which engage with the body's endocannabinoid system, effectively easing pain and inflammation. Often enriched with natural ingredients like lavender or peppermint essential oils, these topicals further amplify their calming effects, proving highly efficient for addressing muscle aches and joint discomfort. Advantages of using topicals. Utilizing cannabis topicals for muscle and joint pain provides several notable advantages over traditional pain medications. Precise relief. Cannabis topicals excel in delivering targeted relief by direct application to the affected area, ensuring effective alleviation of specific muscle or joint discomfort. Non psychoactive. Unlike methods involving cannabis consumption, topicals do not enter the bloodstream, averting any psychoactive effects or the sensation of being high. This renders them a safe and accessible choice for pain relief without unwelcome THC related side effects. Non addictive. In contrast to opioids and certain conventional pain medications, cannabis topicals are non addictive and carry a minimal risk of dependence, making them a safer option for managing long term chronic pain. Fewer side effects. Cannabis topicals exhibit fewer side effects compared to oral medications since they are externally applied and entail a reduced likelihood of causing systemic issues, making them suitable for individuals with sensitivities or those unable to tolerate oral drugs. Versatility. Offered in diverse forms such as creams, balms, lotions, sprays, cannabis topicals provide versatility to align with individual preferences, and they can be seamlessly incorporated into daily routines for convenient and swift pain. Different types of cannabis topicals are available. When it comes to topicals, there's a diverse array of options tailored to various preferences and needs. Here are some common types. Creams and lotions. These cannabis-infused products are popular for their lightweight and fast-absorbing qualities. Balms and salves. Balms and salves are thicker and more concentrated, ideal for targeted relief in specific areas. Transdermal patches. They are adhesive patches infused with cannabis that gradually release cannabinoids into the bloodstream, offering long-lasting relief, especially beneficial for chronic pain conditions. Massage oils. Cannabis-infused massage oils combine the benefits of cannabinoids with therapeutic massages, aiding in muscle relaxation, tension reduction, and localized pain relief. And sprays. Cannabis-infused sprays can be easily sprayed onto the affected area for rapid absorption and quick relief. It's essential to consider factors such as desired pain relief level, symptom severity, and personal preferences when selecting a cannabis topical. Keep in mind that potency and cannabinoid concentrations can vary among products. Some essential factors to take into account when choosing your product is the cannabinoid ratio. This is important. Different cannabis topicals may offer varying ratios of THC to CBD. Opt for topicals with higher CBD ratios if you wish to avoid psychoactive effects. Potency. Cannabis topicals come in varying potencies, so consider the level of pain relief that you require. And additional ingredients. Examine the additional ingredients present in cannabis topicals. Some products incorporate essential oils and other natural compounds that offer supplementary benefits, such as enhanced relaxation or improved skin hydration. Ensure the ingredients align with your preferences and any potential sensitivities. Your application method. Assess your application method and find one that best fits your lifestyle. And reviews and recommendations. Prior to purchasing, read product reviews and seek recommendations from reliable sources. Cannabis topicals offer a natural and effective solution for targeted relief from muscle soreness, and joint pain. Their non-psychoactive nature, minimal side effects, and capacity to soothe discomfort without traditional medications' drawbacks are rapidly making them a popular choice. By understanding their mechanisms and benefits, you can make an informed product selection. Embracing cannabis topicals can enhance mobility, alleviate discomfort, and boost overall well-being. Bid farewell to pain's limitations and greet a more active, pain-free lifestyle. Next time you've got an ache that won't ease up, try soothing it with one of these products and take your first steps toward a better quality of life.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be like, and segue into product. That sounded like a big commercial, but I'm not promoting any particular product.
Just make your own.
An application, a way to use cannabis.
Right.
I want to look for those transdermal patches.
I had some. I gave him to T the Tech. And he said they were wonderful.
Yeah? I want to try one of those.
Yeah. I found them when I was in Oklahoma. I think you might be able to find them here. Very, very, I don't know. I have not seen any here, but I'm sure somebody makes them here. But T, the Tech, the ones I came back with Oklahoma from, he said they were wonderful.
Huh.
They were like cool. 50 milligram time release, though.
Well, it came from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, but I mean, you can make them yourself. You just get some shea butter and infuse it in or you get some coconut oil. And then you infuse that, and then you can mix whatever you want with the coconut oil and use that.
So I can't make a transdermal patch.
No,
I can make a topical.
Or a balm or a salve. You use salves too, a CBD salve too, didn't you? Yeah, stuff's nice. It works. It's invigorating. Makes you feel refreshed.
Yes.
Rhode Island cannabis regulators warn against incredibly problematic shadow market. The whole farm bill, man. This is just like, it's crazy what's going on right now. There's going to be more coming, but Rhode Island say it's very incredibly problematic. The process of converting the hemp from a non-psychoactive substance into something that gets a person high is complicated for anyone who doesn't have the advanced degree in science. So if Mrs. Weedman and I have been talking about this, how you go into now and you just see everything has THC on it. I was in a liquor store and it says THC 25 milligrams. And I look in the back, of course it says from hemp, but it's still 25 milligrams of THC. We were talking to somebody today, 50 milligrams, 25 milligrams. The other person I was talking to said 2.5 to 5 is a nice sweet spot when you're doing a beverage. I'm like, yeah, because then you could probably drink 2 if you wanted to, if you're a 10er or 15er. But yeah, taking a 25 milligram THC drink and you don't know it's 25 milligrams.
And you think because it's from hemp, it's not going to get you high?
Yeah. So Rhode Island.
That's dangerous.
I mean, they're all talking about this in a lot of states right now, banning, all the states that are banning Delta 8. But so the revote for the farm bill is coming up too. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Legislators are concerned about how to regulate out-of-state investors' control of Arkansas's medical marijuana business. Denver, since legalization, has hit $500 million in tax revenue. That's crazy. Since 2010. The whole state has done 15 billion, but Denver alone has done 500 million. That's nuts. California marijuana market remains mired in challenges. 40 retailers have closed down in Los Angeles, consultant says, Hirsch John, and just barely hanging on. There's a lot of shit going on in California. A lot of people aren't making money. So in different cities, there's a lot of problems with some of the dispensaries and going out of business. So there was an article today, I don't know if I'm going to read it in the next show or not, but saying that some cities aren't allowing in California any more businesses because they're afraid that the market is going to be oversaturated and those businesses might not make it. So they're trying to stop it. Kentucky and hemp. Now, I've smoked some really good weed from the mountains of Kentucky, but I didn't realize Kentucky had such a good history with hemp and the state's nearly 250-year history with the plant. Despite national controversy over growing cannabis, which can either become hemp, which contains 0.3% less THC, or marijuana if the THC content that causes a high is greater than 0.3%, Kentucky has long been a leader in growing the crop. I didn't know that. Since like the 1800s, they've been still growing it. By 1946, hemp was once again banned and remained illegal until the passage of the 2014 Farm Bill, which allowed for research plots of hemp to be grown. Kentucky became the leader, and they didn't hesitate to establish research plots both on farms but also in universities. So that's awesome. So, petition urges MasterCard, Visa, and other credit card giants to accept cannabis payments. You should. This is the one I was talking about. New farm bill addressing hemp might push until 2024, some key senators say. Congress might not pass the 2023 farm bill until 2024. Such a delay would mean more waiting and more uncertainty for the U.S. hemp industry. That includes sellers and manufacturers of products containing the controversial intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoid such as Delta-8 THC. Congress has been gridlocked for most of the past month while the drama to select the House Speaker. Republicans on Wednesday elected relatively unknown Louisiana Rep. Mike Johnson, meaning legislative action might return to normal soon. So, yeah, the 2018 Farm Bill, which expired September 30th, legalized hemp production nationwide. It also led to a subsequent booms of hemp growers and manufacturers, first with CBD and then cannabis-derived hemp Delta-9 and then Delta-8, Delta-10, and other cannabinoids. So hemp lobbyists have given urging Congress to add clear hemp-derived cannabinoid product safety and testing standards to the new Farm Bill. Critics, including many in the state-regulated cannabis industry, say hemp-derived alternatives sold online or at unscrupulous merchants without age verification or quality control thwarts legalization promise of safe tested product. Many states have moved to restrict or ban outright hemp-derived products. The product makers have sued to overturn several state laws restricting hemp products. Crazy. We got now a few more months to wait. 65% of Americans say they use medical marijuana under a clinician for anxiety, pain, and sleep. Independent craft growers in Illinois struggle to secure financing for cannabis businesses. Yes, because the money's running dry. The tax money, we should give that to some of the people so they can start their businesses. You made $600 million last year. Probably going to make about $680 million this year. Invest back in the people because you don't deserve that money anyway. Ohio governor attacks marijuana legalization ballot measures, downplaying polls showing broad voter support. Yes, he does not want this bill to pass. He's doing whatever he can to stop this. And I tell you, Ohio, if you vote yes for this and they fuck it up, you better come fucking screaming. I'll help you out. I love Columbus. I'll go there and eat at the Pearl. There's also that sandwich place. I forgot the name of it that I sent you a picture of the last time I was in Columbus, and that sandwich was amazing. Oh, my God, it was so good. I'm a foodie. If you all don't know, Mrs. Weedman and I, we're foodies. We like food. We like to seek out stuff that like locals know to go. And when we go to different cities, we don't go to chains. We go to where the locals like to eat because that's where you want to go. I've eaten at a lot of places across this country that only people that live there knew about. And that's the fun stuff when you get to do that. I'm a foodie. So nothing better than a good sandwich from a place, you know, like oh man, I can go on about food all the time. Bipartisan House coalition urges DA to align with federal and state cannabis reforms. Okay, we'll see. What happened in 2020 that changed the world for a brief few years?
We're still seeing it, right?
We're still seeing it.
We're going to talk about COVID.
Yes.
But this is pretty positive. Is cannabis good for COVID? New study says yes. A recent study found that cannabis users had better outcomes than non-users when it comes to COVID. Booyah. Keep smoking. Having the coronavirus is not ideal, but it's never ideal to have a virus. The reality of life is that we do nearly everything we can to avoid any kind of sickness, pain, or uncomfortable experience. Of course, life happens anyway, and consistent with that, the grand pandemic of the last few years has by now hit a wide percentage of the population. COVID is often defined as a novel virus, but in fact, this terminology simply means we hadn't dealt with this particular version of corona before. The virus is actually a member of the Coronaviridae family of viruses, which accounted for 45 different already known about species in 2020. In fact, 15% of all common colds are coronaviruses. Several years before COVID came about, we dealt with a more deadly version dubbed SARS. So we're actually pretty familiar with coronaviruses. So familiar, in fact, that there was already research on how to fight them, and much of that research was done in the plant world. The pandemic has been one of the most contested topics of debate lately. Everything from what exactly it does, to how deadly it is, to how quickly it spreads, to the efficacy of vaccines and masks, they were all points of contention throughout the world. You'd think this virus was the topic of Martians landing on the Earth or Bigfoot. It certainly came off that way. And as such, I'm not here to give opinions. I'm here to share some new research, which explains how it's quite possible that cannabis users did better than non users when it came to COVID outcomes. The COVID and Cannabis Study. All data for the recently published study. Need water. Named Exploring the Relationship Between Marijuana Smoking and COVID-19 Outcomes came from the National Inpatient Sample Database. All individuals in the study, therefore, were admitted into a hospital and tested positive for COVID. According to study investigators, the purpose of the study is to compare the outcomes of COVID-19 infection on individuals who use marijuana and those who do not. The thought behind the investigation is that cannabinoids have at least some immunomodulatory abilities, but we don't know what they are or where they're beneficial. Cannabis use was the dividing factor, creating two groups. Beyond looking at cannabis use, investigators also considered demographic information and issues of and issues of comorbidity from other medical issues and problems. Investigators automatically excluded patients without data available and those under 18 years of age. Investigators used something called greedy propensity to match marijuana users to non-users at a ratio of 1-to-1 for age, race, gender, and 17 other factors like chronic heart and lung disease. So, what did the COVID cannabis study find? Altogether, the study looked at information of 322,214 patients, and of them, 2,603 used cannabis. Overall, cannabis users were generally younger and had a greater chance of being tobacco users as well. Regardless of more tobacco use, however, the cannabis users group showed less issues with obstructive sleep apnea, obesity, hypertension, and diabetes mellitus. Variable analysis showed that those who used cannabis had a 6.8% chance of intubation versus a 12% chance for non-cannabis users, a 2.1% chance of acute respiratory distress syndrome in comparison to 6% for non-users, a 25% chance of acute respiratory failure compared to 52.9% for non-users, and a 5.8% chance of severe sepsis accompanied by multi-organ failure in comparison to 12% for non-users. So you doubled your immunity by smoking, or not necessarily smoking, but consuming, right? Other places where cannabis users showed greater health than their non-using contemporaries were in hospital cardiac arrest, which was 1.2 for cannabis users versus 2.7% for non-users, and death, for which cannabis users had a 2.9% chance versus non-users at 13.5%. Study investigators concluded that marijuana smokers had better outcomes and mortality compared to non-users. The beneficial effects of marijuana use may be attributed to its potential to inhibit viral entry into cells and prevent the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, thus mitigating cytokine release syndrome. They continued that the topic warrants further investigation and the association between marijuana use and COVID-19. Of course, this is just one study. Even so, we, the people of cannabis world, should take this as a big win. I think so.
I think so too. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Makes me excited to go smoke some more weed. In Canada and in the United States, infused pre-roll sales are growing. And in Canada, it's grown 38.4%. It's a bang for your buck, you know. You get ripped off an infused pre-roll. So they have their place for me. Like I said on the last episode or 2 episodes ago, you just got to make them right. You know, if you make them right and they taste good. If I'm not eating butane, then they taste good. That's all right. So some more international news. EU's first ever cannabis license permitting nonprofits to grow and distribute issued in Malta. Malta, after 2 years, became the first country in Europe to legalize recreational cannabis. And they finally gave the 2 licenses to start doing the clubs and regulated grow to sell cannabis. Associations must be nonprofit, can only sell their product, and are not allowed to advertise, put cannabis in the name, or promote marijuana use in any way. Before any sale, marijuana must be tested by the authority of the responsible use of cannabis, ORC, ARUC. So, but it's a start. It's a start. Go Malta. Cannabis clubs, though, and what they are and how they operate. Cannabis clubs were popularized by Spain in the 1990s and are now getting popular in both legal and non-legal countries. So Spain popularized it and the idea. And for those unfamiliar with the term, it might sound like a group of stoners partying together, and sometimes this is not far off. There are different kinds of cannabis clubs that function under different parameters. Some are done legally, and some are done illegally. And it's the latter that's going things underway. We'll get in and talk about this. So one of the general and basic concepts of most cannabis clubs is the key provide an alternative way to obtain weed outside of a regular sales market. Clubs generally charge a membership fee, and the fee is essentially a payment for all weed used by a specific member. I think that's awesome. I fucking wish they did that here. The fee is not a flat rate for all, since people use different amounts. Rather, it's based on how much a person wants to procure regularly. If it's a person's use habit changes, so does their membership fee. No money changes hands for a particular procurement. No real sales are made. Cannabis clubs go in contrast to sales markets. There are no official rules about how the club must run. For the most part, they're based around flower or seeds for home growing. They don't generally involve a product market and therefore are not a part of the marketing world. There is no battle of the products taking place, which also means no companies pushing shady products, no product claims. They basically kill the idea of marketing within the industry. I like that too. Let the weed speak for itself. The clubs are almost uniformly run by nonprofits and require different things of members, showing IDs to local addresses and so on. Are cannabis clubs legal? The cannabis club is a concept, and the concept doesn't have anything directly to do with legality. However, having said this, they're also a vehicle for getting around laws, since they create a general loophole of avoiding direct sales. It's the illegal capacity of cannabis clubs that have really brought them to light. Spain is a great example. Spain, cannabis isn't legal for recreational use or official production, but it does come from decriminalization policy. Adults can grow and use the plant personally, but there's no exact number given for the cutoff between decriminalization, cultivation, use of drug trafficking. For the most part, if you're keeping to yourself and not producing huge amounts, you should be fine. So there's more to this article, and then there's different types of clubs, consumption lounges. Now you're seeing starting up in the United States. In the Netherlands, you have coffee houses. So you're going to see different things popping up. But I do like the social club, and people can come and you can have a nice selection of weed that you home grow, and people come and pay a membership and they can pick some weed and smoke it there or go home. Mm-hmm. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Just donate to the fucking charity.
Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You can have like a little allotment per month or something that you get to take with you.
100%. I think it's a great idea. I mean, in the consumption lounge, you should be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Where you're not paying, they're not buying weed. They're paying for a membership to your consumption lounge, and then you have your home grow there. Say it's a monthly fee of $300 a month.
Right.
And that's basically the cost of an ounce that you're going to charge. So they can get an ounce every month. But you're charging them $300 a month.
Yeah. For membership.
Right. So then they come and hang out, and then you have other things.
You should zip your lip, because that might be a good...
Well, so what? If someone takes my ideas and run with it, I hope so. I hope they do. I have my idea. So if someone takes one of my other ideas and uses it, just throw Mr. Weedman. Go to 8decades.com and buy some Mrs. Weedman's goods for your place, will you? Support us and we'll support you. So don't forget 8decades.com. we got sales.
And invite us to your consumption lounge so we can come be members.
Yeah, hang out,
smoke with you.
Yeah. So buy the smoke sets for your lounges and all of our stuff and gear, and we'll come in and support the business. So.
Boom. Just like that.
Yep. That's how it rolls. I said it and I'll say it again. There's money in it for everybody.
That's right.
So, 25 years in prison for a non-violent crime. Michigan man exposes very ugly side of authority.
Yeah. An Emmy-nominated documentary that explores harms caused by the war on drugs, The Sentence of Michael Thompson, was awarded 2 Clio Cannabis Awards this week, including the exceptionally rare and coveted Grand Clio for advocacy work. The film looked at the painful story of a man who was sentenced 42 to 60 years in prison for selling 3 pounds of marijuana and his family's fight to help him. Thompson ended up serving the longest prison sentence for a nonviolent offense in Michigan's history. After 25 years behind bars, he has no bitterness, but rather he is trying to help others who are in the same situation he was in. Thompson shared with Benzinga how he got through the hardest of times and what keeps him going as he dedicates his life to helping other marijuana prisoners. For the interview, I'll be referring to Benzinga as B and Michael Thompson as MT. B. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us your story? MT. My name is Michael Thompson. I am the president of Michael Thompson Clemency Project. My story is, I sold 3 pounds of marijuana to a friend of mine for a bachelor party, and I later found out he was a police informant. As a result, I received a sentence of 42 to 60 years. However, what Michigan does is stack charges on you. They can stack a charge and give you 8 felonies. Well, this is what they do to people of color, mostly by using charges and stacking them. I ended up serving 25 years, and I'm still serving because I'm on a 4-year parole. B. Your family never stopped praying and fighting for your release. How did that help you get through the hard times and not lose hope? MT. Well, family is everything. Without family, what do you really have? In particular, my son was my best friend, my only son. When he passed, prayer seemed like it was the only thing I had left. B. How does it feel to be free again after so many years? Do you have any resentment or just appreciate life now? Or perhaps a bit of both? MT. Well, a bit of both. For the simple reason, prison life is not easy. One thing prison does is show you who your true friends and family are. I'm thankful for that. B. What is the lesson you learned from this experience? MT. Who my real family and friends are. I also learned how corrupt and ugly the system is. People of authority show a very ugly side. No compassion. Not all, but most. B. How would you like to advise people who are currently in a similar situation? MT. To be strong, because dealing with incarceration, weakness will only bring you unexpected negative situations. B. How did you feel when you heard that Michigan legalized adult use cannabis? MT. I felt, if that's so, what are they going to do with me? When was someone going to come and free me? So I was happy to hear about the legalization, but at the same time, the fear of the unknown was still lingering over my head. B. You're working to help others now in similar circumstances. Can you tell us more about that? MT. I would be more than glad to elaborate on that because what I'm doing, no one in America is doing. The Michael Thompson Clemency Project is trying to get guys free from trap sentences. There should be no one in prison for marijuana today. That's who I'm fighting for. It was put in place to take a hard stand on crime. When is enough enough? B. Is federal legalization the answer or just part of the solution to improve the U.S. criminal justice system? MT. Well, I think legalization under the federal statute is very important. The federal statute is holding up a lot of good progress that can be made. So to answer your question, the federal statute needs to realize the system is broken, and the only way to fix it completely is for the federal statute to get on board with the state. Thompson wondered why there aren't more organizations like his that are fighting against unjust lengthening sentences, or what he calls trap sentences. I ask, why is there no funding available for the good work that we're doing? To which I say, Michael Thompson, that's a very good question.
Well, I mean, he's out, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see the show.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I don't know what channel it's on, but it's called The Sentence of Michael Thompson.
I'll have to look for it
Yeah.
and watch it. So
Documentary.
he's out, good, free, helping others trying to get free.
Yep.
It's amazing.
There's a few organizations out there doing that, and I think it's important because look at us. We're sitting here smoking a joint in our basement, and there's no consequence.
Right.
So
100%. That's a good point, Mrs. Weedman. That was on the level. It's Halloween night.
Yeah.
What would be the one scary movie you would watch? Stoner scary movie.
I was thinking we should watch like Halloween.
Halloween. That would be the one you'd
The
watch,
original.
right? The OG.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the one you'd
Yeah.
watch? That's the one we're watching tonight.
I think so.
Ms. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman,
that's the end of the show.
let's smoke.
Man, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this show, Go Genetics.
We shouldn't smoke that before bed, probably.
No. Actually, I might. We got a little bit left for glazed cherry pie. Thanks, Go Genetics. I appreciate it because that shit got me baked. So, but you got anything else to say?
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Stay warm and safe and be good to people. There's a lot of really ugly shit happening around the world right now, and we just have to continue to live with a heart of kindness and gentleness, and just don't forget to care about people. It's important.
I might let Mrs. Weedman finish that off. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable. 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 Acceptable.